performer tonight has been on the Dodo stage many times, and she, in the early days of knowing Jasmine, she was published by Tor Lighthouse Press. She's now shortlisted for the Primus 3, which is a poetry school collaboration with Nine Arches Press, and if selected it means her work will be published in a volume with two other poets. She's involved with the Wall of Dreams, has been involved with the Wall of Dreams project at the South Bank Centre, working with immigrant communities. And she's also offering the audience tonight, or anybody who cares to get involved, a weekly free poetry mail out. Just ask Jasmine afterwards for cards, and she'll send you a poem every week. Well, there you are. What could be better than that? So would you please give a really warm welcome for the return of Jasmine Anne Cooray.
Thank you. Welcome. This is a poem for anyone who finds it hard to leave the house or talk to other people. It's called Introvert. The being that appears in wafts and drifts lumbers itself into a chair in the corner, blinking like a spider. You may notice it by the kettle, inhaling steam from a mug with its eyes closed, or pass it on the way out as it smokes a cigarette alone, or thumbs through leaflets, peeling each word carefully off into the brain. If you try to start a conversation, you may get the sense you're interrupting something, breaking some sacred force field of silence, but persevere. Speak quietly. Be offered thoughts hewn in shadows, built slowly underneath the noise of the room. You may be looking for symbols and fireworks in its mouth and feel bored. You may decide the being is a weirdo, laugh with your friends, feel suddenly qualified to die from Asperger's, sociopathy. Sometimes it will go missing and bring speculation. Is it depression again? Someone will joke about battering down its front door. Another will flap their hands and huff, relieved. But one worries, goes round and peers through the letterbox. There is no pair of lifeless feet, no sour fug of decay, but a cup of tea, a face in curling paperback, just a being sitting still, mulling over each complicated morsel of data, distilling, drip by drip, the cacophony of the world. So, some of my poems are very weird, and I like writing weird poems. And this is, I was imagining all the things that kind of get lost, or get kind of taken away, or get chopped off. And I was thinking about how we used to have tails. And so this is imagining what is left of our tail, talking about what it's like. Just bear with me. It's called The Coccyx Gives a Rare Interview. Those were the days, trees, the languid rope of vines, and what a thing I was then. Long, muscular, hooking the body up over forest floors, swing flight, sinewy whip wrapping branches. Would I come back now? Heavens, dear, and to what banalities would they subject me? Trolleys pulled along supermarket aisles, hands free for the device, or, I see it, shop assistants, tails lumbered with clusters of tinkling hangers. Would Madam like to try the teal? The indignity. Don't talk to me about him up there, that dome of mush flashing it about. Ooh, neofrontal cortex, upright motion, walking, how tedious. Cast your gaze up there. Rockets blasting into the black. You see, I may just be a stub of what I was, but let me tell you this, they still thirst for cloud. I was trying to find like neat segues for these poems, and then I thought, no, I'm just going to read the poems, and you can make your own links if you want to. This is a poem from my mother. Lots of poems are from my mother. I grew up in a very politically active family, but my mother was maybe felt less empowered than my father to be active. And it's also for a time of a time of my life when I was a really low budget teen goth. So this is for anyone in the room who was a teen goth. It's called Incantatum Politicus. The year candles were bought from occult shops where glowing staff seemed not to walk but glide, velvet skirted and jingling from counter to shelf. A rickety cardboard temple was built, sticky with melted wax. Here, prayers were whispered to 5 elements, pentagrams swung to ward against heartbreak, acne, the bully in the school canteen. The bedroom door leaked nagged champer fog, and a ring binder, stripped of French verbs, overflowed with spells. The characteristic purple font holding all the magic a fledgling witch might need. Once I found the folder missing, and downstairs my mother's finger poised on one page, the other hand brandishing a black candle, her eyes wild, triumphant as a gold hunter proclaiming, "I'm going to cast a spell on that arsehole Tony Blair." 2 million marched this summer against the Iraq War, and at home, this woman, godless since convent nuns caned all the worship from her, muttered incantations over a newspaper photo, the Prime Minister's toothy grin splodged with wax. Though not convinced he would seize suddenly in his sleep, or wake with scales or webbed feet, here she was, clutching ritual, acting out the movement as a child making a sword of a stick, for a second imagines anything to be possible, however small she feels. This is another poem from my mother, who is very skilled at taking care of very small people. And it was written watching my mother and my sister with my sister's very, very new baby. And it's called What She Does Best. My mother adjusts my sister's breast so the baby can drink. Her soft fingers, lined from years in dish soap, lightly pull at the doughy flesh, moving the nipple. There is no gap between them. They murmur to one another, to the child, like a breeze flowing through different rooms of a house. I watch from the plastic chair, my womb full of words. I do not know what else it can host, whether I will walk the road to that place of soft skulls and sacrifice, where a tender language is spoken, and where my mother, her touch soothing and certain and magical, is still a cool balm in the fever of our lives. This is the last poem I'm going to do for you in this half. Thank you for listening so attentively. Slightly eerie, but I'm just going to go. This is for my father. It's also, no, not for my father, for both my parents, but yes, for my father. And I guess in his absence, after losing him, it's like writing about grief just kind of, I don't know. I think after a certain amount of time you realise that grief isn't a process that finishes, it just comes back at different points in different ways. At different levels of acuteness. So this is for him, it's called Visitor. A couple walks past in the park. A dark man, high waistband, 70, a white woman on his arm, and the other world where my father is still alive slices past like a summer frisbee. Another day, his reflection will turn up in a yoke, a worker's cap where 20-somethings in shades drape limbs over formica. Can't be egg and chips, he'll enthuse, smile swimming like a light spot. Later, he'll float in to snag the gaze of my sister as she walks to graduation stage, drift between seats for a better view. Blow his translucent nose. He does this, sneaks up to change the slide, and for a second the world still has him in it. Afterwards, the face and jolt to the stomach flood to another vault of the brain. The days roll by, trees hog resin over cars, but he'll visit again, a split-second bomb to the heart. The city around us puts one foot in front of the other, as if everything were not a different colour now, though it is only the lost, reaching in from beyond, messing with the settings.
Thank you, Jasmine. And